Hello, BookTube. This is Shelf Tour, continuing Shelf Tour. Bookcase is number 12, and the shelf is number 4. And let's get right to it. Start with A Guide to Fiction Set in Vermont, Anne McKinstry McCoo, Vermont Humanities Council publication. And that came out in 2005 from Montpelier, Vermont. So here we have, Garrison Keillor, and he did something. Oh, he did a, when Jim, a nearsighted lad in Christmas in Vermont, runs away for 11 hours with his dog Tony, his mother doesn't even miss him. Nice. Then similar thing, another Vermont Humanities Council publication, A Guide to Fiction Set in Vermont for Children and Young Adults, again by Anne McKinstry McCoo. And these are handy for me in my work, and this is 2008, Vermont Humanities Council, again Montpelier. So you just go through and say, there's an author, and then they'll give you some information. They're very handy volumes to have. I've shown this one on this channel before. I've had this forever. The Story of Old Vermont in Pictures. Something from my childhood. It's National Life Insurance of Vermont put it out. Should say, but I don't know when that came out. It would have been no later than the 60s, because I got it in the 1960s, I think. This is a Gazetteer of Vermont Heritage, which has a drawing from one of my kids stuck in it, my daughter. Just what it says it is. Published by National Survey in Chester, Vermont. Again, a lot of glare on some of these. I apologize. So this sort of thing. Main Street in Barrie, Vermont. Barrie's a place with large quarries and granite and marble and all that. Nice local history type of volume. Then we have The Connecticut River, photographs by William F. Steckel, text by Evan Hill, introduction by Roger Torrey Peterson. A lot of you remember him. He did a lot of those Peterson bird guides. With a forward by Abe Ribicoff, excuse me. So I live right on the Connecticut River here, and I was born on the Connecticut River. And there's the town I was born in. So this is one of those volumes that came out to, when was this published? Wesleyan University Press, Middletown, Connecticut, and it was published in 1972, and a lot of concern about the environment. There were a lot of mill towns on the Connecticut River. Up here, the Connecticut River is the border between Vermont and New Hampshire. Here's images of America around Bellows Falls, Rockingham, Westminster, and Saxton's River. So it would have been my hometown at one time, again where I was born. Here's a picture. Okay. Anyhow, so Ann L. Collins, Virginia Lasai, and Louise Loring, Arcadia. And this came out in 2002. No, for me, it's the way to see things that I remember, a lot of stuff that predates me. Schools I went to. Here's another one. Bellows Falls, Saxon's River, and Westminster, A History of Vermont's Most Beloved River Communities. Well, they are by me because I'm from there, but I'm not sure that would be true for everybody. I'm sure there's others that are just as beloved. This is the Charleston and London History Press, 2007. So, like I say, it's fun to look at the photographs. So this school was built to be the high school where my dad went to high school, but I went to middle school there. They had built a new high school. There's the armory. A little bit of excitement with the water there. And here's he did a lot of these. This is first person rural, but there's several follow-up volumes. This is Essays of a Sometime Farmer by Noel Parent. There he is looking all dapper with his cattle. Essays, as it says. David R. Godine, publisher, Boston. This came out in 1978. And is very popular, Vermont type stories. Then Backyard Sugarin, 3rd edition, revised and expanded by Rink Man. Photographs by Daniel Wolfe. So if you want to do some small scale backyard maple sugaring, it shows you how to do that. And then here is one of those stories and pictures. Vermont is where you find it. Arranged by Keith Jennison. There's some ladies quilting. Oh, this sort of thing. Nostalgia. And I have some town reports here. This one actually has a very pretty cover. This is the town of Wethersfield, a town report. Another Wethersfield. And then here's a Heartland. Just town reports. Tells you what everybody's up to, I guess. Tells you where the money's going. There's a 2-volume history by John L. Hurd of Wethersfield, Vermont. This is volume 1, volume 2. Good local histories. Phoenix Publishing, Canaan, New Hampshire. Published for the Publication Committees for the Wethersfield Historical Society, Incorporated. And this is, so 1978. So they'll have, let's see, let me tell you volume 1, let's see if we can get some, like, old documents. These sorts of things, doing local history. I love local histories. They can be varying quality, of course, but what can't? Then here is Something Abides, Discovering the Civil War in Today's Vermont by Howard Coffin, who's a Vermont historian and does a lot of Civil War stuff. This was published in 2013. And published by Countryman Press. So if you're going into a town in Vermont, it'll give you a little road guide to connections, houses, or whatever might have to Civil War. Then this is Voices from the Kingdom by Virginia Campbell Downs. The kingdom in Vermont is the Northeast Kingdom. If you look at the northeast corner of the state, that's called the Northeast Kingdom. Very rural, like all the states rural, except for Burlington, but it's very, very much its own place, hence Northeast Kingdom. My dad lived there and worked there for years. This is published by the Fairbanks Museum and Planetarium, Main and Prospect Street, St. Johnsbury, Vermont. So the Fairbanks Museum is one of the best little museums in New England, if not the country. And the Athenaeum Library up in St. Johnsbury is a treasure. If you ever go through, just visit, walk in, take a look at it. It's gorgeous. The reason I have this book is there's one of the sections is about my father. Let's see, page 104. So I've kept this over the years because of that. So this is like little pieces about various people who live in the Northeast Kingdom. Then here is an old issue of Vermont History, the Vermont Historical Society. This is volume 64, number 1, winter of 96. So, you find these things around, and I just happened to pick this one up and keep it for some reason. Then we're moving out of New England into New York. This is The Gangs of New York, which everybody remember was Leonardo DiCaprio was in the film with this, based on this. This has a foreword by Jorge Luis Borges, and it's by Herbert Asbury. It's quite a study. He did several of these on different cities about crime and all that. This was published by, this is a reprint obviously. Copyright originally was 27 and 28. I had no idea that was that long ago. And this is published, I can't really tell. Oh, 1998. And then this one ought to liven you up. By Dave Haldered, Raising the Home Duck Flock. Did that once. We'll never do it again. They can be messy. This is Storybooks, Pownell, Vermont. And this came out in 1978. And then a rather famous book, Living the Good Life, How to Live Sanely and Simply in a Troubled World by Helen and Scott Nearing. Social Science Institute, Harborside, Maine. Originally came out in 1954. Shawkins did it in 70. This is the 15th printing of 1976. There they are. So it's the whole Back to Land movement, which is a big deal here. So there you have it. Bookcase 12, shelf, I believe it was number 4. So thank you, BookTube.